Good morning, Jason. What a beautiful Friday morning.
Well, good morning to you, Kathy. And I have to say, I'm sitting here in my studio and I am looking around and I don't see any snow. And I'm a little jealous because I love snow. Good morning to you, but where in the world are you?
Hey, you got it. I am not near you right now. I am on the road and I am so lucky that we got a little bit of snow. So I woke up this morning and I went, fantastic. Look at that. There's snow on the ground. We can do a snow walking safety show. And I got all excited and I got all bundled up and dressed. And so I am on the other side of the country and we got some snow last night. And I'm so excited to do this show with you about, walking and being safe, whether you're at home or away, it doesn't matter. The same rules apply to keep ourselves safe. So, how about it? How about it? What do you think?
I think it's awesome, Kathy, and really seeing you out there. Yes, I am jealous. I admit it. Maybe you can bring some of that snow back for me. When you get back over here over here I just really love the fact that we get a chance to talk about this because, as a mobility manager and a travel trainer, when I work with people to teach them how to ride the bus, there's a whole lot that we go over. And it seems like a lot of the times we just kind of gloss over some of these principles that we're about to talk about. I mean, come on, most of us, we have this ability to be able to judge our safety corridor. What are we looking at? How are we going to navigate a particular path that we're on, whether or not we're walking or anything else? So here we are at this time of the year. There's a lot of dangers out there that people don't take account for, and they end up getting hurt. They end up falling. Worst case scenarios is people. I have seen reports where people fall and they trip and they hit their head. I mean, we don't wear bicycle helmets when we're walking, and so people will fall and slip and whack themselves on the head, and it becomes a real bad situation for a lot of us out there. So I definitely do think that this conversation that we're about to have is going to be really cool, Kathy. And I see you there showing a really nice section of, it looks like a deck, right? And it looks like there's some snow, a dusting of snow on there. And I would imagine that since it was cold enough to snow, that it might be cold enough to create a slippery surface, right?
And where I am is much like where we live and where I normally am, where if there's snow, there probably was some moisture before that. And you're right. So it got really cold last night and it was a little drizzly before it got cold enough to snow. And so anytime you see a surface like this, you want to be really careful because it's likely that snow is covering up some ice underneath. So you want to take your time and really walk slowly so that you don't end up, sitting down instead of standing up and walking. And so
and Kathy, that sitting down part is really the best outcome that can come from somebody slipping on the ice. So Kathy, I'm going to go ahead and throw out some do's and some don'ts here, and maybe we can talk about them. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory.
And I would say, sometimes if, like where I am and where you are, the snow sometimes surprises us. And so you wake up in the morning and you go out to your car and it looks like this. And you may decide, you know what? I'm not so sure I want to drive today, or I don't have the right tools to get my car open right now. I'm going to decide I'm going to walk, I'm going to ride the bus, I'm going to, get a ride from somebody. And so you have to kind of change your plans at the last minute, but that doesn't mean you rush. So now your do's and don'ts.
Yeah, right. Well, definitely. I think that is a big thing to talk about there. It's really, let's talk about, first of all, we're going to say a do is to assess the path that you're on. Have a full understanding of your surroundings. Once you get out and that snow has surprised you and you see that the conditions are such, you really need to assess that, right? You really need to say, hey, okay, so not only is it cold out, it might be, by that time, some of the snow may be melting and it creates even a different type of danger. But there's where there's snow, there's ice and slickness. And it's really important for you to come to that conclusion in your assessment, so that maybe if you were not wearing the correct clothing, or some safety principles or practices that you should be thinking about, now that that's triggered your thought process. So yeah, you go out there and you see that car and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I need to get out of my college t-shirt and shorts and run in and make sure I put on the correct clothing to be able to
Yeah.
be safe. And one of those first
Change
things,
out of
Kathy,
those flip-flops. Don't
yeah,
be
change
wearing
out of the
those flip-flops.
Find the right clothing. Part of walking safe and being safe while you're out there on slippery surfaces, especially in that condition you're in there, is to be dressed warm. And Kathy, I see that it looks like you're dressed warm, like you're prepared to be out there in the cold, and that's really good. You've got, yeah, and so that's really
speaking
good.
of that, I have gloves on, which makes this whole handling the camera a little tricky, just so you know. I'm trying to pay attention to so many different things, walking and not slipping, and trying to maneuver the camera. There we go.
Absolutely. Well, I yes. So I see that it looks like you are prepared. I mean, obviously, you're when you're over here with us, on this part of our wonderful part of Oregon here, you're prepared for cold, wet weather as well too. But in the situation where you're in right now, you're cold, so being dressed warm is great. I'm going to talk really a little bit about the boots, and I'll give you a second here, Kathy, if you want to. First of all, is there anything you'd like to say about wearing boots at all by any chance, or wearing proper foot attire to be safe in these conditions?
Yes. So when you wake up and you see this conditions might be slick, you don't want to just put on something other than flip-flops. You want to make sure that you put on something that has some traction, that isn't just flat on the bottom. And I'm having a hard time finding a place that I can lift my foot up so that I can show you that I have some winter boots on. So, it's not just, you're not just doing this for show. You gotta have, whoops, the camera doesn't want to let me show my feet.
That's okay. So, sometimes, oh, hey, there we go. All right, perfect. Yep. So that is
traction is important.
Traction. Yep. Absolutely. Traction is important, and equally as important, as far as I'm concerned, is it keeps your feet dry and somewhat warm.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever tried walking around with really cold feet before. It's very difficult to do it when you need to be focused on how you're walking. But before we do that, Kathy, I'm going to talk a really quick story. So back in the day, I used to live in Kodiak, Alaska. And if anybody knows, that's an island right over there on the south part of Alaska. And it gets cold during the winter. It snows a lot. I have a lot of experience. Some of us kids used to run down to the fishing boats, because that's really what most of Kodiak's all about, especially back in those days. We would go down to the fishing boats and try to break the ice that had frozen onto the boat overnight, so that they would be ready to go out fishing the next day. And we kids thought that was a blast. We'd go down there and take baseball bats. Some of us would take sledgehammers and knock that ice off. And I had gone down there on several occasions, totally not dressed appropriately. I had layers on, but they were all layers of clothing such as cotton and stuff like that really got soaked really fast. And when you're in 30-degree weather and stuff and you're wet in your clothes, that creates actually a dangerous hazard. But then all the chipping of the ice, some of that ice, that chip went down into my boots because my boots were not put on correctly. You have some, your boots are tied nice and good, and they're high top, so nothing's going to really get down there. In my case, all that ice got down there and my feet got very, very cold. Not quite frostbite cold, but they got dangerously cold. I couldn't walk right. I was off balance, and that's going to be kind of our next bullet point we're going to talk about as well, how you actually walk in the cold. So I was wondering, Kathy, could you describe for us at all, by any chance, either by video or just by talking about it, how we actually walk? I mean, it's pretty simple, right?
Well, So I would say that walking in these conditions is a little bit different. I'm taking much smaller steps. I'm kind of checking the ground before I take those steps. I'm not hurrying, I'm not rushing. And it's like I was saying before, it's a little challenging because I'm trying to pay attention to so many different things and
Yeah.
make this video for everybody, but do it safely. And so I'm
So
trying to pay attention to the surfaces that I'm on
yeah.
and taking stiff little tiny little waddly steps.
Oh man. Hey, we're gonna watch a video here in a second to describe what you're doing. But you mentioned something really neat about walking and being observant of the path that you're on. I wonder why that is important, Kathy. And I'd like to kind of throw out my little answer here. Is I think if you were to stray off of the best path that you could find, especially when it's icy or wet and slick and so forth, if you walk on a path that is relatively safe, and what I mean by that is maybe a path that's been salted or something, right, and de-iced,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe in some cases it could be walking on snow itself rather than ice, or in that case, walking where there's nothing at all, and you can tell that it's pretty well de-snowed, I guess you can say, and you can tell. But if
Yeah.
you walk and stray off those paths onto things that you're not familiar with, you really increase your chances of falling, and falling's not good, right?
Right. And you know, as we know, during these conditions, uneven surfaces can be slick. And so,
Yep.
you know, I'm trying to stay in the middle of the path so that, you know, I have a better chance of clear walking and not slipping on anything. If I
Sure.
come over closer to the sides, then, you know, I don't know, again, like the deck, I don't know what's underneath there. And so it makes it a little bit more challenging. And I'm going to stay where it's safe,
Yeah.
over here in the middle of the path.
Well, Kathy, it's, why are we talking about this? And I want to go ahead and kind of, throw this out. Some people might look at this and say, Jason and Kathy, I've been watching your show forever. And, really, you're talking about walking. Well, we're talking about walking in bad conditions. We're talking about walking in snowy, icy conditions. And why is it important that we're talking about that? And pretty soon we're going to watch a video on how to walk like a particular animal. Okay. For those of you that might get that little premonition there, thumbs up for you. But so this, according to the CDC, Kathy, almost 1 million Americans are injured annually as a
That's
result of slipping and falling. And we're about, in this
1
video, we're going to see,
million.
yeah, approximately 1 million Americans are injured annually as a result of falling on ice and snow. And here's the tragic thing. We had talked earlier, and so this is yet again, why are we doing this video? It's because to remind people that when we're in this time of year, that we do have to consider these things. Because listen, I don't want to be one of those million people who get injured every year, but tragically, there is approximately 17,000 people every year that actually die from falling in these conditions. And that's from CDC. Go ahead and go there, and people can take a look at the CDC and see those stats. But when you're talking about that, and sure, annually those numbers fluctuate. Yes, they do. But
Sure. And,
when you
Jason
when
and
you
I know that walking is a part of everybody's everyday path. Whether you're
yeah,
going to drive in your car, you're going to ride a bus, you're going to walk, you're going to, ride a bike.
yes,
There's still always a piece of walking. And so slowing down and being prepared and, being able to having the knowledge to take a surprise snow on the ground in stride is important.
yeah, and I think as well too, Kathy. We come at this also from the standpoint of, we understand that there might be individuals with disabilities who don't actually walk, who are rolling, or people who are in mobility devices such as walkers or canes or something like that. Every single person tries to get out and go somewhere, no matter their ability to walk or whatever. I know of people, and who, when I travel train them, you know, they're using walkers. And so they want to use the walker when they go out into a slick condition. So we have to talk about this kind of stuff. We have to help them understand, you know, that now there is a third item. And not only do they have to worry about their feet and all that, now they have to keep an understanding of where their walker is at, you know, around them and within their situation they're in. So it's really important that we talk about these things. It's really important that we're gonna take a look at this video, and we're gonna watch what it means to do the penguin walk. I was able to get that out, Kathy.
Nice.
Whew.
Awesome.
Oh, that's the reason why I was stammering for a little while, because I didn't know if I was going to get that correct. But we're going to watch a video right now. I'm going to share my screen, and boy, if anybody wants to know how to walk safe on these kind of conditions, this just might be the video for you.
I love that we can integrate what we do in real life with videos, because there's a really great way. There's professional people out there that do these graphic videos, and it just helps us out. So
absolutely.
Thank you to whoever made this video.
It's Tech Insider. So a very neat YouTube centered focus here. So, okay. So Kathy, don't let winter slip you up, right? Yeah, can you look at that? That's horrible, right?
Yep, that's the sitting down I was talking about.
Yeah, we don't want that kind of sitting down, right? So they're gonna talk about a little, well, there's no talking in this, it's just, you know, we want to learn how to impersonate a penguin. You can see that penguin walking there, right? And this source on that is the Canada Safety Council. So I'm just gonna let the video play, we can talk about it.
Yeah, we don't have any penguins around, but they do set a good example.
Yeah, and he's actually, in this example here, this person is actually walking the wrong way. You should not be walking this way on snow and ice. So he's like, how can I keep myself safe?
And the other thing they don't, ouch, there we go again. The thing that they didn't show is then what happens, I mean, if you're walking like that and both your feet slip at the same time, you end up doing the splits. Yikes. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's a death sentence for some of us out there. Okay, here we go. And yeah, okay, their legs are too short.
Like mine.
Yeah. I never knew that the penguins were this progressive in their safety stride.
Right.
Okay. It's time to learn. You've fallen enough times. Let's learn here, right? Boy, that does look weird, doesn't it?
It does. Look at his arms.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of like a gull almost in a way. But I wonder why he's doing that. I don't know. Maybe the video will tell us why. Keep them out of your pockets.
Yeah.
Now they're going to show us, Kathy. They've already shown us at regular speed the pain that it looks like he's in, or I would be in if I was falling. And now they're going to show us in slow motion, but take a look at the hands. They're circling the hands here, right?
Right. Because those are super vulnerable. Yep. Ouch. I mean, that hurts, but
yeah, that does hurt.
Better than breaking a wrist.
Yes. So yes, all his penguin friends now come and celebrate. Looks like they're doing that happy foot thing. I don't know if I'd want to be around that many penguins, but needless to say that,
especially if you were not wearing a tuxedo, as they said.
yeah, absolutely. But so Kathy, you know, one of the thing that the video really does kind of show to us is some of the things not to do. Right? Don't take big steps. It didn't really show this in the video, but there's no need to take shortcuts. You know, make sure that you're on the right path that you're on. There's no need to rush. And you know, don't keep your hands in the pocket. I thought I didn't know that before. My silly self would fall and try to break my fall and break a wrist, I'm sure. So, and then you had mentioned this earlier. There's no need. Don't walk fast, right?
Right. Just slow down, take your time, really.
Yep.
You know, you've got extra added concerns with the weather. You don't need extra added concerns of slipping and falling. So take your time.
You know, a couple of things that, you know, we'll talk about a little bit too. Now, let's be clear. You're using this phone, you're videotaping yourself. So this is part of what we're doing to bring the show to people. However, though, when you're walking in slick conditions and so forth, no matter where you're at in the country or the world, please, there's no need to be
Put your
talking
phone
on your
away.
cell phone. Put your phone away, right? Yeah, put
Yep.
it away, put it in your pocket or your backpack, and concentrate on being mobile safely.
Right. And full disclosure, I
Yes.
have checked my path before we've been doing this, and I'm not going in any one direction. I am staying in the same area, but that is for the purposes of this filming, so that we can get a good video for everybody, and that video won't include me slipping and falling.
Absolutely. And Kathy, I was wondering, this next thing I want to talk about involves some steps. Is it possible for us to get back to us maybe just a couple of steps at all? Do you have steps around there?
Steps, I do.
Next to your deck,
Give me
maybe?
1 second. Yeah, you keep on talking, and I'll take us back to the steps.
So as Kathy is transporting us back to some steps, part of the reason why I want to bring up these steps is because the majority of the injuries that we talked about earlier from the stats CDC are people walking down steps and forgetting to use the handrails or whatever other. So there is a handrail right there. It doesn't look like a traditional handrail. It looks like it's just part of the fencing to the deck. But on Kathy, which would be your left-hand side, there's that. You can use that to put down 3 points of contact. You don't have to use two hands, obviously, right? But the idea would be,
this is actually sturdy enough that
yes,
I could use that.
Right. So when you're walking down steps, when it's like the condition that even Kathy is looking at right now, please do everything you can to utilize 3 points of contact. Your 2 feet and 1 hand. Okay. It's important to do that because when you're going down these stairs, it gives you, yes, there we go. Perfect. Anything that you can use to give you 3 points of contact is not only is it for winter weather, but I train when I work with individuals to learn how to ride the bus, just even boarding the bus or getting off of the bus. I make sure we really emphasize utilizing 3 points of contact. I'm not 16 anymore and just can hop around all over the place. I do need myself to ensure that I have something sturdy sometimes to hold on to when I'm going up or downstairs. So it really doesn't matter what age you are, what capabilities you have, just utilize 3 points of contact is really important. And for those of you that utilize ramps with wheelchairs and so forth, or other devices and so forth, if you have someone helping you up those ramps, ensure that they are doing the best to use 3 points of contact as well. It might sound weird to talk about that and helping somebody push a wheelchair because you're using 2 hands, but when it's slick out and you do have to get up a ramp, you can utilize 1 hand on the railing and pushing the wheelchair kind of with your body up. And instead of taking step after step after step, even penguin steps, you just make a step and push, step and push. It's a lot safer than walking behind that wheelchair and then slipping and then whacking your head on the top of the person who's in the wheelchair. Much safer for everybody. Just be careful though when you're out there doing that. But thank you, Kathy, for showing us the steps and the 3 points of contact. That's really, really important. So
yes.
So Kathy, amazingly, we're getting pretty close to the end of our time here, and I can't believe that we talk about something like this. We can get through a show really, to this point. I mean, it's been pretty cool. So do you have any final words or thoughts on this at all?
Well, I mean, I just think that it's important that, we put on our, be prepared hat when we wake up in the morning, especially this time of year, because we really don't know what we're going to encounter. And if you're driving, be prepared for black ice, and the same rules sort of apply, but to your vehicle. Slow down, take your time, and make sure you assess your area and your terrain that you're going to be traveling, so that you can arrive at your destination safely.
Yes. And one other thing I do want to say really quick as we're closing out, I see some puppies, some doggos that are walking around behind you.
Yes.
And I think that's another thing to really talk about too. You can walk your dogs. You can walk them while in this kind of condition as well. But it does add another layer that you do have to account for, which is that leash. And
Mhm.
I don't know about you with your puppy there, whether or not he's strong enough to kind of pull you along a little bit. But we do want to
Yes,
make
they
sure that we have
are.
good control over our dogs when we're walking them in bad weather or inclement slippery conditions. My dog
Mhm.
would probably allow me to fall and then pull even me around on the ice and love it. He would love it. He would
Exactly.
look at me
He
and
would
think it's
think
a
it'd
fun
be,
game.
these guys would think that that would be a really fun game too. So,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I think, Kathy, really just in the end, we have focused on, we've talked to people about, this really basic thing that all of us probably have experienced at some point in time, but it never hurts to remind people to do these things, to follow some of these principles, to keep themselves safe and not become another statistic for the CDC to account for people getting hurt while slipping on slippery conditions. So
Absolutely. Yes. We don't want you to be one of those statistics. We want you to arrive at your destination all in one piece safely without any extra bumps. So,
indeed, indeed. Well, Kathy, it looks like you might be able to go out and have some fun in that before it melts away wherever you're at. And
yeah,
yeah, and
excited. I
yeah,
don't know
it
if we've
is.
got enough for a snowman yet, but it's certainly going to be some fun dog walking today.
Well, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope everybody out there has a great weekend as well too. We're getting close and closer to the the more of that just enriched holiday spirit, and I'm just really thankful that we get a chance to talk like this and stuff right before the weekend, and we can go into the weekend knowing that we had a great opportunity to hang out together, Kathy. So please be safe wherever you're at while you're traveling, and I look forward to talking to you the next time.
Sounds good. I'm going to go inside and warm up, get myself all warmed up from this nice cold winter snowy show. Um, and I hope everybody has a fabulous weekend and some wonderful holiday celebrations. We'll see you next week right here with another Transportation Talk with Jason and Kathy.
All right.